Well, again, good morning to everyone, and welcome to the Profiles Breakfast this morning. And our speaker today is, we have a group doing a presentation from Grand River Academy. Tom O'Neill, the Director of Development, Scott McNevin, the Athletic Director, and David Thomas, the President of Student Council. So please welcome Mr. O'Neill to present this morning. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Those of you who came here today expecting to hear the comedic presentation of Randy Blum, you're going to be sadly disappointed, but Mr. Blum has been victimized in Cortland, Ohio by a bad back that is apparently severe enough that he wasn't even going to be able to make it into work today, and anyone who knows of his 37-year history at Grand River Academy probably also know that he has not missed too many days. So we're all having good thoughts for Randy and hopes that he'll come back and lead us as he has for the last 37 years. I have a couple gentlemen here with me today who are going to assist me with various parts of this presentation, but to start off and to kick off, if you see a group of young men up on the screen there with an I on their jerseys, that's one of the original football teams at Grand River Institute. And Grand River Institute was a former name, and actually that was the second name. We were originally called the Ashtabula School of Science and Industry. And Grand River Academy, if you come out and drive through the campus, we'll brag and boast about the fact that we were founded in 1831. And we are the oldest school in the Western Reserve. There's even some allegation that, with a couple different designations, that we are one of the oldest schools in the country. Mission statement: to carry young men through a course of liberal education. Not too different from what we try to do today, actually. Originally founded on the Grand River, and thus the eventual name, right near Mechanicsville. There was a building there that there's a legend about that I heard when I first came to the academy. I should probably have prefaced this was with the fact that I came to Grand River Academy in 1968, not as an employee, but as a student. And there was an old building that was ready to be torn down, and it was banned even then. I think I talked to a couple people from here who said they had been in the building, maybe even played some sports in the building in the old gymnasium. Some of you may have been around the campus at that point. Well, that building is commemorated by the plaque that's on the campus there, the old gymnasium, and it had a huge part of the past because it had been moved from the Grand River as the original building by, I heard originally, 300 oxen. When I came back, there was a plaque, in the campus that said it had been 200 oxen, and then I believe the book lists that there were 100 oxen. So, depending on which is going to give us the most notoriety, that's the story we're going with, and we're sticking with it. Most amazing, tuition was $65 per year. Times have changed, my friends. And students studied the classics, everything from Latin to literature and music. And they were also sort of enjoying to work on an adjacent farm to help pay their way. This is Shepherd Hall. Shepherd Hall still stands today, built in 1905 for the pricely sum of $5,000. That's what it cost to get your name on a building in those days. But and it's been refurbed and rehabbed over the years. Still a classic old building. Those were the first steps that I walked up as a young man there, the first steps that many young men walk up when they come to the school. And we have about 40 boys that are housed in that dormitory right now. Ghost stories, as you can imagine, boys sitting around from back in the old days telling ghost stories, but even today, people will still cite a young man that's known as Blue Boy, and a bit of a legend there. It would be irresponsible of me not to mention some people from the early days of Grand River Academy. The Bowders on the left there, Carl and Ruth Bowder, really began what we like to call the modern era. It was in the 30s when the economy was not good and the school was really hitting some tough times. There were allegations that the doors were closing. And the Bowders purchased the school, Carl and Ruth Bowder, and they named it the Bowder School for just a short while, and then they decided to name it Grand River Academy. And that's where it is today. There was some friction between the Institute people and the Academy people at that point, but a few years ago we got a gift from a fellow who had been in the Institute, so maybe some of those old wounds have healed. The gentleman on the right is Herb Gates. I don't know if any of you ever had the pleasure to meet him. He was a bit of an insulated man, but a very, very bright man, typical of his generation, the greatest generation, as I like to call them. Herb Gates was hired when he was in his 20s, went off to war, came and served as a medic during the war, World War II, and then came back and spent 50 years at Grand River Academy. Just a fabulous man. He would do anything that it took while he was there. When, as I said, my sophomore year at the academy, he was the headmaster, and then they needed a head cook, and Mr. Gates jumped in. He loved to cook, and he jumped into the kitchen, and he did everything he could for the academy, and was found a few years ago just sitting in his favorite chair, slumped over a newspaper that he was reading. So, fabulous man. I had to commemorate him. Penurious man, that was a literary word used there for Mr. Bowder. We have a headmaster there now, Randy Blum, who there are some equally choice terms used about in as far as his penurious standards. But when Lou DeFabio, any of you who know Lou DeFabio, an attorney here in the region, retired attorney here in the region, he came out and gave a talk one time and said that Mr. Bowder had told him when he was a teacher there to make sure the boys drank a lot of water, so that they don't eat so much food, keep the costs down. George and Helen Armington, two other folks. Okay. I have to stand back here? All right. I used to teach public speaking and tell people not to stand behind there, but two other folks who were just crucial in the history of the Academy. It's not clear exactly who met and how they met, but the Armingtons kind of took a fondness to the Academy and became benefactors of the school. There was a young man there named Art Armington when I was in school there, and Art went through every grade at Grand River Academy, was the first and probably the only person to do that. In the early years, people would go to school through the 8th grade. There was the statement I heard made at one time that the school became a high school because the Armingtons wanted a place for Art to graduate. So. George Finelli, Roger McCaughtry, the first two graduates in 1964. The photo on the left there shows Herb Gates, again as a young man, reading to young boys in front of Shepherd Hall, fireplace there. The makeup of the school at that point, there were 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old boys. Some of them came from orphanages. Some of them, fathers were off at war and mom had 7 kids. And so during those early days, there was a different segment. No one should mention the name of Grand River Academy without mentioning the name of this man. This is Bud Field. He was my first dorm master. He was at the school for 36 years. We lost Bud about 10 years ago, if I'm correct. And, fabulous person. He never had his own sons, but he was the father to thousands and thousands of young men. His history was just fascinating, his personal history. He served in the Peace Corps. He was a brilliant man. Boys would just gather in his apartment. I still use one of the lines when I'm trying to get rid of someone who might stop in my office. When you'd see 23 guys there and you wonder how to politely get rid of them, Bud would just stand up and say, "I'm kicking you out now." and it worked, and it still works to this day. I still use it. GRA today, or who are these guys? One of the things that the Academy struggles with is, I think in this community is, well, just who are you? What do you represent? What do you do out there? Who are the boys? Where are they from? I want to speak a little bit about that. Grand River Academy is a prep school. And Randy Blum, there's his picture there, standing up nice and straight and tall, which he's not doing at the moment. 101 boys here for 101 different reasons. And the flags that you see represented there hang in our dining hall. We have had boys attend the Academy from almost all of the states in the U.S. as well as from all over the world. Currently there are 6 countries and 24 states represented. Christina Hartz, if you'll help me with the countries, we have Australia, Rwanda, China, Sierra Leone. What was that? Canada. Canada, okay. And South Korea. We have to count Canada. Mr. McNeven, our athletic director, is from Canada here. And as far as who these guys are, they can be different people at different times of the day, certainly. They were dressed in their appropriate finest in that picture on the left. Going from the left, that fellow, Mike is from Erie, Pennsylvania. John is from Atlanta, Georgia. David Peck was from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and Tate Ip was from Stockton, California. So again, representing north, south, east, west. The bottom there, that's Bryce Buchanan. He's from Carefree, Arizona. And that's Jordan Koleric, and he's right here from Kirtland, Ohio. Some of the unique features of GRA, one of the obvious things is the size of the classes. Any of you who have had a history of sitting in a class with 30 people or more, or have had students who are getting lost in a class of 32, there's one of the big secrets of Grand River Academy. It's a ratio of 7-to-1, grades 9 through 12. We have, again, boarding students because they're living right on campus there, but we also have day students. I'm going to have a very fine one follow me up here to the microphone here very soon. But we have a history of day students from Ashtabula County, and we'll have some names of those here in a bit. What do we teach? Well, we teach a college prep curriculum, but we have success with kids with learning differences, ADHD. Again, 101 boys, 101 different reasons for attending the school. That's Mr. Bob Archer there in a class with the typical number of boys, and so they get lots of special attention. Getting boys back on the college prep track. I don't know if any of you know the dropout rate for high schools in the United States, but it's pretty bleak. And it's interesting because you don't have to do too much to slip through the cracks. A couple of the gentlemen that are there, the young man on the right, Darius Smith, came to us. He's just trying to get his grades up so he can get into a better college. He graduated from high school, but he's taking a post-grad year. Fabulous young man that's with us this year. E.J. Kennedy, I do a lot of photography on the campus there. I saw him walking along without a coat and a pink tie on a snowy day, and I said, E.J., come here. So grabbed sort of a classic shot leaning against a lamppost. And the young man up there on the far left is my son. That's Michael John O'Neill. And that was during a CEO interview program at Ashtabula Rubber, and Nick was nice enough to spend some time with him. So our boys, we took a number of the boys around the community and learned a little bit more about the Ashtabula area. We want the boys to have some knowledge when they leave here and become involved in the area. Dress code. Well, dress code on the left is what we put in all the brochures. We like to, ties are required. The teachers will tell you that when the boys are dressed appropriately, that they act a little different, that they are a little more on task, and that during the dress down days, that is not so much the case. So we have dress down days, we try and keep those to a minimum. The polo shirts that you see with the two fellows with the guitar, that's also a standard dress. 1 day a week, they're allowed polo shirts. And then when they're cheering for their classmates and teammates, they get to do about anything they want. So up there on the right, you see two guys, we like to say, getting ready for Duke University. So. I tell the boys every once in a while, because I remember from my own personal history, when I went to the school as a C student who couldn't figure out what algebra was for. I became an English major and still can't figure that out, by the way. But I tell the boys, your job now is to make your mother smile. And a couple of the young men there doing exactly that. The young man on the left is a wonderful Grand River Academy story. The fellow's name is Robbie O'Gwyn, which is a great name and the most Irish name on campus. And it put me into second and third place. But Robbie came to the school, and he would readily admit to you that his problem was not potential ability. His problem was he could not get away from his computer. And he would play video games, and he would watch anime, and his mother was a single mom, and she just couldn't get him to do what he was supposed to do. When he went to a day school in Michigan, I believe, and the punchline here is that when Randy Blum went to a convention, a headmaster convention, he ran into the headmaster that had been the headmaster at Robbie's former school, and the headmaster actually asked him, "How's that loser Robbie O'Gwyn doing?" And Randy said, "Oh, Robbie, he just got a $20,000 scholarship to Case Western Reserve University, double major, math and physics." So his mom's smiling, and Robbie is at Case right now. Great kid, and a teammate of David's in the academic challenge teams. Campus today, 200 acres, 5 dorms, 3 classroom buildings, 22-acre athletic complex, lots of houses, always need lots of repairs. I'm in one of those. Again, when we do the brochures, we show them the picture on the right, but actually the reality is more like the picture on the left, as anyone in this community knows. It's interesting, I took some photos of the boys the other day during the blizzard that we had, and they were standing there saying, "Come on, I can't keep my eyes open." I said, "That's exactly what I want here," but you'd eventually get a smile. They're learning a little bit about survival as well. More of the buildings, Armington Hall on the left, Green Hall again. I showed you the slide of Bud Field earlier. About 6 or 7 years ago, I got a call. I was living in Cary, North Carolina, and they said, "Would you like to do the dedication speech for the Bud Field Student Center?" And I was never so honored in my life to be able to speak towards someone and dedicate that building. That's just a beautiful student center. Some of the students from St. John's that have been on some of our teams, we've combined teams with, have been out there and shared that with us. Just one of the finest in the nation. The gym, built in the 60s. If you're a photographer, you can make anything look good, and that's probably the best it's ever looked, and that's going to be it, I think, for that gym. We're looking forward into the future of maybe doing something else. Long way off, but we'll see if we can get it done. And here's a wonderful new project. It's a lecture center being built right next to the Bud Field Student Center and adjoining it, as a matter of fact. It's going to be used for lecture series that we hope to have, performances. We also want to invite the community out to be part of programs that will take place there. And that's it's a little further along right now. We've had a great campaign and had good response both from the community and from our alumni, and this is where my development hat comes on. Anyone who is wondering about what to do with an extra couple $100,000 and wants their name on the wing of a lecture center, please see me after the breakfast. The Ashtabula Connection. On the left there is Dan Riddell, Harbor High School graduate. That's Katie Marasco Studer on the right with a group of boys doing testing in the river at the Grand River. And In addition to those folks, some of you probably know Barb and Larry Wilson, who graduated from St. John. Larry's been out there, I believe he's in his 38th year as a teacher, and very fine teacher of government and history. Catherine Rudwanski, Cindy Kane, who's with us today, is our business manager. 3/4 of our English department are graduates of Geneva High School, class of 95, Josh Hartz, Sarah Mundy, and Brian Valentine. Brian grew up in Austinburg, right in the town. Karen Cordell is our school nurse, and David Sharping is a young man who attended the Ashtabula schools, and his new wife, Molly, now works at KSU. So, we have lots of connection to the community. And not just in the staff, but also with our history of board members, pretty impressive list there. Dr. John Decato is recently ascended to the chairman of the board position. Steve Schoeneman is here with us today. Thank you for coming, Steve, Dick Rose, and Terry Warren. Any of you who have never met Terry Warren, you've missed someone. What a fabulous man and a fascinating person he is. You see a list of former trustees there, and as well as Grand River Academy alums, Megan Humphrey and Dan Schoeneman, John Decato and his sister Lisa, and Bill Douglas are alum from the day student program at Grand River Academy. Sports, very interesting. We, for whatever reason, seem to be able to compete. Don't always come out on top, but we seem to be able to compete. And to speak to that note, I'd like to introduce gentleman here, Scott McNeven. One of the interesting things about Scott is that although he wouldn't wear it, he has a national championship ring that he could proudly sport from his college days as an excellent soccer player. And I believe he's the only phys ed major that I've ever known who also has his MBA. But Scott, if you'll come up and speak a little bit about athletics at the Academy. Scott McNeven.
Thanks, Tom. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having us here. This is a wonderful opportunity for us, and I'm really happy to be here and able to talk about the Academy. We love doing that. We're very proud of what we do, and to be here and to be able to talk to you is a wonderful thing here this morning. I just want to briefly touch on our athletic program. Tom's done a wonderful job talking about some of the history of the school, where it's come from, and I want to talk a little bit about present day and specifically athletics. And just so you know, Mr. Blum is very concerned with keeping costs down, but he doesn't make me fill the boys with water to keep their appetites in check anymore. Part of our mission is to provide a highly structured environment to help these guys academically and socially. And part of that structure is athletics. Each afternoon, from 4 to 5:30, the boys have to be somewhere. They get to choose an activity. They don't have to play a sport, but they have to choose an activity, and we offer a wide range of activities. Christina Hartz is our residential life director. She's here this morning, and she puts together a great list of options for the guys to choose from. So wherever their interest lies, they can usually find something to do in the afternoons that they enjoy. But for the guys that do choose athletics, and out of our 120 students, over 60% of them usually on any given year will choose a competitive sport. For a school of our size, we offer what I think is an impressive number of teams. We have 10 interscholastic competitive teams. And those include in the fall golf, cross country, and soccer. And recently we've added football, which we just finished our second fall. And as Tom mentioned, we combined with St. John and Paul these past 2 falls, and it's been a huge success and a great opportunity for those kids to get to play football. In the winter, we offer wrestling, basketball, and this past year we added bowling, which was really successful. We weren't sure if the guys would take to that, but they did, and they had a great time. And then in the spring, we offer tennis, baseball, and in our second spring this year, we will offer lacrosse. Last year was our first time doing that, and I believe we're the only high school in the county that offers lacrosse, and it really took off last year, and and we've actually joined a league, and we're kind of beefing up the lacrosse program, and the kids seem to be really interested in that. So our 10 sports, as Tom mentioned, are competitive, and we don't have any state titles, and we don't have any district or regional championships to brag about. But what we do focus on more than winning. And by the way, what we do to commemorate our winning season is just to simply hang a banner in the gym that they can always look back on and say, I was on that team in that year, and I remember that. But besides that, what our excellent coaches focus on, and we do have excellent coaches at our school, is not just the winning, but what I think is really important and is in line with our mission of our school. We want to be competitive and we want to win. That's part of the goal. But more importantly, I think it's exciting for us as coaches and as staff members to watch these kids. There's some common scenarios that I just want to share that we see every year, and it's really exciting for us. We see a lot of guys that at their bigger public school or bigger private school would not have an opportunity to play on a team. They really want to, they love it, but they just wouldn't be able to. So each year we see a lot of those young men make our varsity teams and compete and contribute, and they really develop. Another common scenario is a young man who gave up on sports 2 or 3 years ago, and they might have given up on a few other things 2 or 3 years ago as well, and their grades were a reflection of that, and sports became something they kind of just let go by the wayside. When they come to our school, usually with the encouragement of some of our staff and our coaches and our faculty, they'll give it another try. And a lot of them will rediscover the competitive spirit that they once had, and that their parents tell us when they were in middle school they loved it so much and they've let it go, and they find that again. And they get to remember what it's like to be a teammate and to enjoy some winning and learn from losing and be a part of a team. And lastly, and I think my favorite part is, we get to see young men include athletics in a balanced lifestyle. And it is a highly structured campus and highly structured environment, excuse me. But we're trying to help create a balanced lifestyle for them, and that often happens. Our athletic offerings provide them with a great stress relief from all their studies. They build relationships with their teammates and the staff. They become emotionally stronger and more mature. And hopefully each spring, and that day's coming here soon, and David will be up here next, and he's going to be one of our great graduates this spring. When that day comes, they'll hopefully leave us not only with a more sound mind, but a sound body as well. So thanks for letting me speak this morning and tell you a little bit about our athletics.
Thank you, Scott. Scott's not only the athletic director, he also coaches soccer and tennis, and when I brought my son up to the academy, he had a pretty strong background in soccer, some incredibly good coaches down in the hotbed of soccer in North Carolina. That's the best soccer coach I've ever met in my life. And we have some other great coaches too. Christina's husband, Josh Hartz, is an incredible baseball coach. We've got a great basketball program. Wonderful things and an unsung part of the academy, but something that, as Scott said, does help really build self-esteem for a lot of these young men. This is what it's all about right here. Get to that commencement program. We have anyone who's ever been out to a graduation at Grand River Academy, I will go on record. It's the most wonderful, charming, intimate, beautiful, touching ceremony that you could ever be around. You'll see some parents who, frankly, will tell you they didn't think their son was going to graduate from high school, and there he comes walking down that aisle and accepting that diploma. That's me with my son on the right. He was the first legacy graduate, but David is going to come up and talk a little bit more about moments like this, and he's got that to look forward to, but he's going to tell you a little bit about some of his own classmates. I don't know that I have enough time to do a bio and a resume for David before I introduce him. Any of you who have read about him in the newspaper, I don't mean to embarrass him, but David was on a political, in politics at the age of 16. He's president of our student council. He's valedictorian of the class, and if only he was a better-looking young man, everything would be fine. So, David, introduce David Thomas.
I was going to thank you for that introduction until that last part. Well, thank you, first of all, to the leadership class for having us today. I've actually had a great time being a part of the youth leadership class this past year, and I know I've been able to meet many of you within that. Some of our days this past year have been definitely amazing to me, just to see, Ashtabula County in its entirety, and there's so many little things that I didn't know about personally until I started on that program, and I know I'll definitely be telling a lot of people I know about all the different joys of Ashtabula County. So to start off, I guess the first thing I'd like to say is congratulations to the Jefferson superintendent. Last night we were at the Ashtabula Scholastics Bowl in Pymatuming Valley, and it was a really great time. GRA competed as well with 8 other schools, and Jefferson won again for the 3rd year in a row. So congratulations to them. Now to get on to what I'm planning on talking about. Part of that youth leadership, I was actually invited to speak to an adult leadership class a few weeks ago on civic involvement at Austinburg Township. And while I was there, I guess one of the adults there knew that I went to Grand River. And so she asked me what I thought Grand River's impact was on our county and what I thought the future of the school might hold. And it was kind of I was a little bit surprised about that question. I was expecting to talk about civic involvement in government at the local level. So it took me a little time to think. And the first thing I came up with, especially in that business sense, was our fiscal impact, I guess is the best way to say it. As Mr. O'Neill said, we have over 80 full-time, part-time faculty, and we have a little over 110 students right now. And so part of that is involvement with the county financially. We eat at restaurants in the county. Our parents will stay at hotels in the county on special weekends like Parent Weekend and graduation. And we do a lot of different events and shopping times in the county. And so just from that aspect of our impact, that was the very first thing that I came up with. And the second one, and the one that I've definitely had more time to think about and to advance on, is our personal impact, our social and I guess our helping impact. And part of what I've been trying to do in my capacity as being involved with our student council over the past 4 years, I know the administration's been really trying to push this and get us more involved, is our community service aspect in the county. We live in a great township, as I said, Austinburg Township. We're a part of a very nice nearby city, Geneva, obviously. And there are a lot of opportunities for our students to become involved at the community service level. And just for example, we've always been doing every 2 months a blood drive in Austinburg. We do a highway cleanup project 2 times a year. We've been really involved with the Christmas tree charity donation in Austinburg Township. A man named Mr. Shanning, who owns a small business in Austinburg, has been doing an amazing job every Christmas, buying about 30 Christmas trees and then donating them to local needy families. And we've helped him with that project. We also do Salvation Army bell ringing at the mall in Ashtabula and at several businesses in Geneva. And we do some community service work at the very small level with local families. If there's an elderly woman who can't necessarily mow her yard or rake some of her leaves in the fall, we'll help her out with that. And I guess I'll put a little plug in here. We're always looking for more things to do, surprisingly. So if you know of anyone who could use some help in this next couple of months before the school year's over, please talk to me afterwards or any of our faculty, and we'd be more than willing to help out in whatever way we can. We're always looking for things to do. And then the second aspect of that question I just said was where I saw the future of our school going. And for me, I guess for those of you who don't know, as I said, I've been at Grand River for all 4 years as a student, but I've actually been there for all 17 years of my life. Both my parents teach at Grand River Academy, and part of the benefit of being a teacher there is, as Mr. O'Neill said, living on campus. It's an extra way for students to get help at night if they have any homework. It's another way for the campus really to kind of feel like a family in its own. You have your teachers, you have everyone together, and it's a really nice environment. And so the school tries to use that with the faculty housing. And so I've lived there, as I said, for 17 years now. And when I say where I see the future of the school going, there's a little extra meaning there because it's also the future of my upbringing, the future of where I live. And so I really want to see the school succeed. And part of that is also seeing, as you all I'm sure are hoping for, is Ashtabula County succeed. And I think that we can do that hand in hand by working together, as I said. We've got a lot of opportunities to help out in the community. And we're really looking for ways to work with everyone, and hopefully as the school continues to grow and to meet our mission, we can help with all of you. Just for example, our computer class, it's actually taught by John Baylash. He's one of the graduates from Geneva High School. He has actually been able to work with several businesses in the township and then in the surrounding cities on their websites. Our computer class helps to manage our website at Grand River, but they also work on several other businesses' websites. And so that's just kind of a tiny way of how we can reach out and help all of you. As Mr. O'Neill said, many of our teachers, and I'm sure you know some of them, have grown up in Ashtabula County. So we do have a stake in the future of our community. And whatever we can do, please let us know. Now, I'm really kind of grateful, I mentioned the Scholastic Bowl last night, that we have been invited to participate in some of the events in the county. Just for example, we do a botany competition on the Rails to Trails every spring. I was a part of that my freshman year. And that's been a really great thing for our students who like the outdoors and for many of the community students as well. And we're really thankful that we've been able to participate in that. We also have, as I said, the youth leadership. I'm hoping in the future some of our day students can also be a part of that and experience what I've definitely been able to have a privilege of doing this year. And our sports activities, as Mr. McNeven said, we've been able to combine with St. John and Paul for our football team. And that's been a really, really successful opportunity for our school and for theirs. And I think it's really been a great time for us to kind of grow together. We've actually had some dances and some other events with St. John, some other local schools at our campus. And that's been a great time for us to be able to reach out and kind of get everyone to know us at the youth level. How do I just press this little arrow? Okay. Cool.
Back up one.
Well, as I said, and as Mr. O'Neill said, our mission is to help boys who aren't necessarily succeeding in their public schools right now. And as for me, that's the big thing that I would like to see. I came in my 9th grade year, as I said, and a lot of my classmates had a really hard time in junior high from their original public schools. Over the 4 years, friends of mine have come in halfway through the year and through different times. It's the last slide, Mrs. Hartz. And I've really had a great opportunity at seeing them be able to succeed at our school and taking advantage of many of the opportunities that we've laid out. And this is our student council. It's a very colorful bunch besides our shirts. We were very lucky to have a colorful shirt there, I guess. But just for example, the person on my left, the person to the left of me, Jeff Bonham, with the gold tie. Jeff is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And when he came to us last year, at the end of the year, he was struggling in his public school. He's an extremely bright student. He works hard. Everything that he does, he goes at it. But at his old environment, his old public school, he really struggled to be able to maintain athletics and grades. And he's been able to turn himself around with the school's help. And he's actually been accepted, just for example, at Duquesne University Honors College, with a $13,000 scholarship. And then he's been accepted to Western Michigan Honors College and Michigan State Honors Colleges, all with scholarships. And his family, I know as Mr. O'Neill said, is definitely smiling right now to be able to see the progress of him as a student just within 1 year. And then to my left, the student with the black tie, Dongjin King. As Mr. O'Neill said, we do have a very good international population. And Dongjin is from Seoul, South Korea. And when he came to us my freshman year, he was too struggling, just making that transition. International students will come to us from all over the country, as we said, to try and learn English and then to get into a really good American college. That's their path to success. Get an American education. I personally hope that they stay here and they build their families up and they work with us. Sometimes they do return to their country. But Dongjin, there's a lot to say about him. He will be our salutarian this year. He, once again, anything that he does, he goes straight to it. He works hard. And he's actually been accepted to Northeastern University Pharmacy School, University of Rhode Island Pharmacy School, University of Toledo Pharmacy School, and Ohio Northern Pharmacy School. And he's actually waiting on 4 more pharmacy schools for his acceptances. He's hoping to become a pharmacist, obviously. I should have wrote that in. Within the next couple of years. And those are just 2 of our, I guess, success stories. Just within that picture of our student council. And student council at a private school is interesting within itself. You know, we all live on campus, and our lives are on campus. So, you know, my sister goes to Geneva. I guess I should say that. She's a sophomore there, and she really likes it and she enjoys it. And she has helped out with her student council. But it's interesting, a public school student council will plan dances, they'll plan, you know, Spirit Month or Spirit Week, and they'll do different community service projects within the community. But our student councils are a little bit different. It's a lot like a college within the school. You have so many different aspects. You have the dorm life and everything, and you have food and activities on the weekends, and so it's really kind of an interesting environment to be in. And so the last part of what I'd like to say for the future is our day student program. Currently, we have 3 day students. Myself, Nolan Kovacic, who is from a suburb of Cleveland, and Jordan Stedman, who's actually from Jefferson. And the school has really found this program that we have started up again very successful, our day student program. And I personally know the school would like to expand on it. We'd like to see more students from the community come to us. We'd like to be able to grow in that way, to be able to branch out. And that's personally where I would really like to see us succeed in the future, to be able to grow in that way. But as I said, I think part of that is looking into the past, looking at what Mr. O'Neill talked about, our past successes and our failures, and seeing how we can succeed that way, but also looking to work with all of you in the county. As I said, please, if you do think of anything that we can help you with, please see us afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I mentioned to David the other day, as he goes forward in his political career, I'm going to vote for him even if he has an R behind his name. So. But I know we're running long here, and just wanted to wrap up by thanking you personally here for this opportunity. Hope you've learned a little bit more about Grand River Academy. Are there any questions from the audience? Mr. Grippy.
Tom, I have a question for David. Where do you plan to go to college at, David?
I've currently been accepted to Case Western Reserve and John Carroll University in Cleveland. I just recently interviewed actually with Princeton University, Harvard University, and Dartmouth College. And so I'll be hearing back from them in April. And I'm waiting for Washington Lee University in Virginia and Grove City College in Pennsylvania. So we'll see.
You can tell he's struggling too. So. Any other questions from the floor?
What do the boys do for dates? I mean, what's the...
Let me see who's in the room here, and then I'll answer that. Very good question. We have dances Mrs. Hartz puts together with some regional private girls' schools. I know some of the boys seem to be preoccupied with that very question, but it's interesting. We you find a way. Did you ever see Romeo and Juliet?
We've actually had some students just this past weekend go to an Edgewood dance, their winter formal, I guess. So we do have different opportunities to go with community.
Nothing like handsome young men with maybe just a bit of an edge to them. So they find dates, or the dates find them. Good question, though. Thank you. Any other questions?
Is Grand River a year-round school, or do they take a break in the summer?
Excellent question, and thank you. Our college prep program runs the standard school year, but we also have a summer program. And for those of you who know someone who needs to try and bring up their SAT scores, pass the OGT, maybe bring up their GPA, you talk about small classes 7 to 1. I mean, I've seen classes 1 to 1 in the summer. 1 to 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 1. And that's pretty much a half-day program, and then, Mrs. Hartz has them off, at baseball games and swimming and at the beach and Cedar Point. And so it's sort of a modified program during the summer, and they don't have to wear blazers or ties during that time. Any other questions? Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Feel free to take the newsletters that we happen to have a surplus run on, and on that front page there, you can see one of your local people there, and also an opportunity with that new building. Let me know.
Well, thank you, everyone, for attending this morning. And before everyone heads out for the rest of your day, a quick announcement about, well, first of all, Grand River Academy, Leadership Ashtabula County, and the youth leadership programs. We've been welcomed to Grand River Academy many times over the past few years on both our education days and days with students, and learning more about the culture and the students at the school. And we had a great opportunity this year. We had lunch at the school with our youth leadership class, and David has been a wonderful addition to the class, of course, as you can all see hearing from him today. But it's been a fantastic experience. They talked a lot about collaboration with the county, and that's really what we're all about in collaborating. The Growth Partnership for Ashtabula County, Kent State University here at Ashtabula, and the Star Beacon and Leadership Ashtabula County. And it's really what our theme and message is this year as well. Our speaker next month is from the Western Reserve Historical Society, and they will be speaking, if you may have noticed in the Star Beacon on Sunday, there was a few pages about the celebration or anniversaries here in Ashtabula County about Harpersfield and the Harper family. And the Western Reserve Historical Society is going to talk about their investment in preserving history here in Ashtabula County with their purchase of Shandy Hall and the story behind Harpersfield and the Harper family. So we'll look forward to seeing you next month, and hopefully a few degrees warmer and a little more sunshine. Have a great day. Thanks.